What if I told you that one of the most powerful food empires on Earth didn't start in a boardroom or with millions in capital, but with a single jar made by a 12-year-old boy in his mother's kitchen? You won't believe this. That jar would spark a journey that transformed Henry Heinz from a small-town kid selling horseradish to the man who dominated the ketchup industry worldwide. No one saw it coming. His story isn't just about food, it's about resilience, branding, and the hidden lessons that turned failure into fortune. The truth revealed is that behind every bottle of Heinz on your dinner table lies a shocking story of persistence, risk, and bold vision. And here's the secret behind it. This isn't the fairytale version of success. What really happened involved bankruptcy, rejection, and moments when it almost didn't work. But those setbacks became the foundation of an empire trusted for generations. Before we dive in, I've put together an exclusive guide with 10 timeless lessons from history's greatest business empires, the kind of strategies Henry himself mastered, and that you can apply in your own journey. You'll find the link in the description. So get ready, because this isn't just the story of ketchup. This is the story of how one boy's relentless drive changed the way the world eats forever. Topic 1. Humble beginnings. Selling horseradish at age 12. You won't believe this. Before there was a billion-dollar empire, before ketchup became a household name, it all began with a 12-year-old boy and a kitchen filled with horseradish roots. Henry Heinz, growing up in small-town Pennsylvania, wasn't born into privilege or vast resources. He was just a kid with curiosity, persistence, and a determination that would soon change everything. Before we dive deeper, I've put together an exclusive guide with 10 hidden lessons from history's greatest business empires. You'll find the link in the description. Now, let's rewind to where his story truly began. Imagine this: jars of homemade horseradish line up neatly on a wooden table, the smell sharp and almost overwhelming. Henry's first business wasn't in a factory or a storefront, but in his mother's kitchen. His mother prepared the recipe, and Henry bottled it with care, sealing each jar by hand. No one saw it coming, but those small jars were the foundation of something far bigger than the boy himself could imagine at the time. He didn't just sell horseradish, he sold trust. In a small community, people weren't buying from a company, they were buying from a boy they knew. That personal connection mattered. Every sale wasn't just about the product inside the jar. It was about the relationship, the promise that Henry would deliver quality every time. This hidden lesson still holds true today. In business, people remember the human touch, and here's the truth revealed. Persistence was everything. Henry wasn't selling to strangers in big cities. He was knocking on doors, talking to neighbors, convincing people to give his product a chance. Sometimes they said no, sometimes they bought out of kindness. But every yes gave him momentum, and every no taught him resilience. What really happened in those early days wasn't just sales, it was the shaping of his character. Think about this. Most kids at 12 are busy with school or chores, but Henry was already learning what no one tells you about entrepreneurship. It's not glamorous at the start. It's slow, it's repetitive, and it almost didn't work many times. Yet he kept going. That relentless drive to get back up, to sell another jar, to talk to one more neighbor. That's what made the difference. So the shocking story here isn't just that a boy sold horseradish, it's that he unknowingly planted the seed of a global empire. From his mother's kitchen to the tables of his small town, Henry's first venture shows us that every big dream begins small. If you've ever thought your current efforts are too little, remember his jars. They were tiny, fragile, and ordinary, yet they carried the DNA of something extraordinary. Topic 2. The spark of entrepreneurship's horseradish jars weren't just a product. They were a spark. He began to see food differently, not as something ordinary, but as an opportunity. Every meal, every recipe, every ingredient could be transformed into something bigger. You won't believe this, but that small spark inside a 12-year-old boy was the same fire that would later ignite an empire of flavor, trust, and innovation. What really happened is that Henry wasn't satisfied with enough. He wanted more than just to sell a few jars. He wanted to build something that would last. That hunger separated him from the rest. While most people in his town focused on surviving, Henry was already dreaming of thriving. It almost didn't work at first, but he kept pushing the limits of what a small town boy could achieve. The truth revealed is that his mindset was different. He wasn't just looking at horseradish as food, he was studying it as business. Packaging, presentation, consistency. He paid attention to the details no one else noticed. And in those details lay the secret behind it. People don't just buy products, they buy trust, design, and story. Henry was learning that without even knowing it. Here's a hidden lesson. Great entrepreneurs don't wait for the perfect idea. They start with what's in front of them and then expand. Henry took what his family had and turned it into a system. He didn't invent horseradish, but he reinvented the way it was sold. That's the kind of thinking that transforms ordinary into extraordinary. And if you want to explore practical ways to apply this mindset today, I've detailed them inside the exclusive guide linked below. It's a resource built to complement this story. No one saw it coming, but his drive began shaping routines that looked less like a child's hobby and more like the foundation of a real business. He tracked what worked, adjusted what didn't, and developed persistence that most adults couldn't match. What no one tells you is that this phase, the small, unpolished beginnings, is where legends are born. So when we talk about the spark, we're not just talking about a boy selling jars. We're talking about the birth of vision. Henry Heinz wasn't waiting for success to knock on his door. He was creating habits, taking risks, and building confidence. The shocking story is that all of this started in a world that didn't believe kids could lead anything. Yet, one boy's spark was about to set the stage for a food revolution. Topic 3. Expansion and bold decisions. By the time Henry outgrew the jars of horseradish, his ambition had grown too. You won't believe this. He was just a teenager when he began testing new products, experimenting with pickles, vinegar, and sauces that most families had never seen packaged before. This wasn't common. In fact, no one saw it coming. A boy from Pittsburgh was about to challenge the way America thought about food. What really happened is that Henry didn't accept the limits placed on him. Most people in the food industry back then played it safe. Recipes were kept at home, and the idea of branding was almost unheard of. But Henry saw possibility where others saw risk. He knew that to build something lasting, he'd need to go beyond tradition. And that meant bold decisions. The truth revealed is that his expansion wasn't just about flavor, it was about daring to change the rules. He packaged vinegar when others thought it was unnecessary. He sold pickles in glass jars when the norm was to sell them in barrels. That transparency was revolutionary. People could actually see what they were buying, and that built trust instantly. Learn from this mistake. Many businesses fail because they follow the crowd instead of standing out. Here's the hidden lesson. Innovation often looks risky in the moment, but obvious in hindsight. Henry was betting his reputation on ideas that almost didn't work, but his courage to take risks in a conservative market set him apart. And for anyone listening now, the same principle applies. The bigger the vision, the greater the need to step outside comfort zones. It could have ended here. Each new product required investment, and Henry risked losing what little he had built. But his decisions, though bold, were calculated. He knew his community, studied demand, and launched products strategically. No one tells you this part. Success isn't just about guts, it's about smart timing. Henry blended both risk and reason. So, when we talk about expansion, it wasn't just about more jars or more flavors. It was the shocking story of a teenager daring to reimagine an industry. Every product was a statement. I see the future differently, and with every new risk, Henry Heinz was inching closer to creating not just a line of foods, but a brand that the world would never forget. Topic 4. The birth of Heinz brand. You won't believe this. Before ketchup was a global icon, it was just another sauce on the table, but Henry Heinz changed that forever. What really happened is that he didn't just sell food, he sold identity. The creation of the first official Heinz ketchup bottle wasn't about condiments, It was about making a statement. This brand will stand for trust, quality, and consistency. No one saw it coming, but packaging became the secret behind it all. While competitors used barrels and opaque containers, Henry chose a clear glass bottle. Why? Because he wanted nothing hidden. Consumers could see the rich red ketchup, the purity of the product, and the confidence of a company with nothing to hide. That simple choice of transparency became one of the most powerful marketing tools in history. The truth revealed is that branding was Henry's silent weapon. He understood that people don't just remember taste, they remember symbols. The iconic Heinz octagonal bottle shape and clean label design stood out on grocery shelves. Every detail screamed consistency. Every bottle told a story of reliability in an age when food safety was a growing concern. Here's the hidden lesson. Innovation is not only in what you create, but also in how you present it. Henry knew that presentation was half the battle. Think about it, you may have the best idea in the world, but if you don't package it right, physically or metaphorically, people won't see its value. That's exactly why in the exclusive guide I mentioned earlier, I break down timeless branding strategies that modern entrepreneurs can use today. It almost didn't work at first. People doubted whether ketchup could ever be more than a novelty item. But Henry pushed forward, confident that if he could build trust through design and consistency, the product would prove itself. What no one tells you is that every brand we admire today, from tech giants to fashion empires, started by creating symbols of trust long before they became cultural icons. So the shocking story here is not just that Heinz created ketchup, it's that he branded it in such a way that it became unforgettable. From the moment that clear bottle hit the shelves, Henry wasn't just selling food, he was carving out a permanent place in global culture. And with that, the Heinz brand was officially born. Topic 5. Overcoming setbacks. Shocking story is that even visionaries stumble. You won't believe this. After bold expansions and the birth of his brand, Henry Heinz faced failures that nearly destroyed everything he had built. Financial struggles, mounting debt, and skeptical investors made his empire look fragile. It could have ended here, but what really happened next revealed the true strength of his character. No one saw it coming, but Henry's company went bankrupt in the 1870s. Imagine it. Years of work, bold decisions, and a rising reputation suddenly wiped away. Most people would have quit right there, burying the dream under shame and regret, but Henry refused. The truth revealed is that setbacks weren't the end for him. They were the reset. Here's the hidden lesson. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. Henry studied his mistakes, learned from them, and came back stronger. Instead of walking away, he restructured, refocused, and rebuilt his company with sharper discipline. For anyone chasing a dream today, this is gold. Learn from this mistake. Don't fear failure. Use it as fuel. It almost didn't work the second time either. Starting over required courage, new capital, and a willingness to regain trust from people who doubted him. But Henry leaned on resilience. He cut costs strategically, focused on the products that worked, and slowly earned back the confidence of his community. What no one tells you is that comebacks are built quietly, one smart decision at a time. And here's where his story connects to us. When life knocks you down, it's easy to believe it's the end. But Henry's journey proves otherwise. Whether it's in business, relationships, or personal growth, resilience is the bridge between failure and future. If you want to dive deeper into how great empires managed to turn their darkest moments into their brightest chapters, the exclusive guide I mentioned earlier breaks this down step by step. So, the truth revealed in this chapter is simple yet powerful. Even a legend like Henry Heinz wasn't immune to failure. What set him apart wasn't perfection, but persistence. The shocking story isn't that he failed, it's that he had the courage to rebuild, and in doing so, he laid the unshakable foundation for one of the world's greatest food empires. Topic 6. Building a global food empire. You won't believe this. From a kitchen jar of horseradish, Henry Heinz's products were now filling shelves across America. What really happened is that his comeback wasn't just survival. It was expansion at a scale no one saw coming. His ketchup, pickles, and sauces weren't just foods. They were becoming household staples. The truth revealed is that Henry wasn't building a company anymore. He was shaping a culture of how families ate. Scaling production was no easy task. Factories had to be modernized, supply chains expanded, and workers trained for consistency. It almost didn't work. Costs skyrocketed, and competition tried to copy his moves. But Henry's obsession with quality and branding kept his empire ahead. No one tells you this part. Growth isn't just about selling more. It's about protecting what makes you unique while multiplying it. Distribution became his secret weapon. Instead of focusing only on big cities, Henry targeted smaller towns, placing Heinz products in grocery stores where trust was built face-to-face. Then he went international, sending shipments overseas at a time when most food companies barely thought beyond local borders. That bold vision changed everything, turning Heinz into not just a brand, but a global standard. Here's a hidden lesson. To dominate any market, you must master both product and pipeline. Henry's genius wasn't only ketchup, it was how. He got it everywhere. For anyone listening today, whether you're scaling a startup or growing a personal project, think about this. How easy is it for people to find you? If you want more strategies like this, drawn from history's greatest empires, I've broken them down inside the exclusive guide linked below. The shocking story is that Heinz wasn't just competing with other condiments, he was outsmarting entire industries. While others played small, he diversified: ketchup, pickles, baked beans, and more. Each product wasn't just food, it was market presence, ensuring Heinz stayed relevant in every household. That kind of foresight separated him from competitors who faded into history. So what really happened here is bigger than food. Henry Heinz built a system, a global machine that combined innovation, trust, and reach. From the corner grocery store to ships crossing the Atlantic, his empire stretched further than anyone thought possible, and with every bottle sold, his vision of a worldwide brand was becoming reality. Topic 7. The legacy of Heinz. You won't believe this. What started with a single jar of horseradish turned into one of the most trusted names in the world. Heinz isn't just a condiment brand, it's a cultural icon. From hot dog stands in New York to family dinners in Tokyo, the name Heinz became shorthand for consistency, reliability, and flavor. No one saw it coming, but a boy from Pennsylvania left a mark on how the entire world eats. The truth revealed is that Heinz didn't just build a business. He built trust at scale. Every clear glass bottle, every bold label, every product line carried the promise of quality. That's why generations later, people still reach for Heinz without thinking twice. And here's the shocking story. In an era when food safety was often questionable, Henry turned transparency into an empire. Here's the hidden lesson. Legacies aren't built overnight. They're built through persistence, reinvention, and courage to stand apart. Henry's story shows us that setbacks don't define you. What you do after them does. For modern entrepreneurs, the takeaway is timeless. If you can win trust, you can win markets. Learn from this mistake. Too many businesses chase profits before they've built credibility. It almost didn't work many times, but every risk Henry took became part of the blueprint for global success. His ketchup wasn't just food. It was a lesson in branding, distribution, and resilience. And that blueprint is exactly why Heinz remains a household name over a century later. What no one tells you is that the most powerful business empires are less about luck and more about discipline repeated for decades. Think about your own journey. Maybe you're at the horseradish stage, just starting out. Maybe you've faced setbacks and are in rebuild mode, or maybe you're scaling something bigger than yourself. Wherever you are, Henry's legacy reminds us that every stage has power if you don't give up. And if you want to go deeper, to study how empires like this were built and how you can apply their strategies step by step, that's exactly what the exclusive guide I put together is for. Link in the description. So here's the final shocking truth revealed. Heinz's empire wasn't about ketchup. It was about vision, persistence, and the courage to start small. His story leaves us with one clear message. If a boy with a jar could change the way the world eats, what's stopping you from changing your world? So here's the truth revealed. Henry Heinz didn't just create ketchup. He created a blueprint for building trust, resilience, and legacy. From a single jar in a small kitchen to bottles on tables across the world, his story proves one thing. It doesn't matter where you start. It matters how far you're willing to go. And now I want to ask you, what's your jar? What's that? Small idea, that side project, or that spark you've been holding back on? Could it be the seed of something that changes your life, maybe even the world? No one tells you this, but legends are built on moments just like that. Think about this: if a 12-year-old boy could turn horseradish into an empire, what's really stopping you? It almost didn't work for him many times, and yet he kept going. The hidden lesson is that failure, risk, and doubt are just part of the journey. What really happened is that persistence turned ordinary into extraordinary if you've stayed with me until now. I know you're serious about learning from stories like this. That's why I put together an exclusive guide with 10 timeless lessons from history's greatest business empires, including strategies you can apply right now to build your own. You'll find the link in the description. Don't just watch the story, take the next step for yourself. And before you go, make sure to hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop a comment with what inspired you the most in Henry's journey. Because no one saw it coming, but maybe your story is the next shocking success the world will talk about.